The moment a stranger in scrubs pressed a USB drive into my palm in the hospital corridor and whispered, "Check this before you sign anything," I knew my husband's fight was not over. The fluorescent lights above me buzzed with a sound I had learned to hate over the past 3 weeks, and the antiseptic smell that clung to everything made my throat tight. I had been living in this hospital, sleeping in chairs that left permanent aches in my back, surviving on vending machine coffee, and the hope that my husband would open his eyes one more time. That Tuesday night, I was standing outside the ICU at St. David's Medical Center in Austin, waiting for visiting hours to end. My daughter Rachel and her husband Todd sat with me in the family waiting area, their voices low and serious. Rachel had flown in from Dallas 2 days ago, and Todd had taken time off from his consulting firm. They said it was to support me, but something about the way they looked at each other when they thought I was not watching made my stomach knot. "Mom, we need to talk about Dad's care plan," Rachel said, setting down her untouched coffee. She wore her work clothes still, a navy blazer and pearl earrings that made her look older than 34. "The doctors say there's been no improvement. His brain activity is minimal." I gripped the arms of my chair. "Your father is a fighter. He has come back from worse." Todd leaned forward, his expression practiced and sympathetic, the kind of look I imagined he used in boardrooms when delivering bad news. "Patricia, the medical bills are already over $400,000. The insurance coverage caps at $500. After that, it comes out of your savings, your retirement, the house." Rachel touched my hand. Her fingers were cold. "We are just trying to protect you. Dad would not want you to bankrupt yourself for machines that are only keeping his body alive." I pulled my hand away. "He is not just a body." "Of course not," she said quickly. "But Mom, you have to be realistic. The doctors said if he wakes up, he will need round-the-clock care. You cannot do that alone. You are 62 years old." I had heard this same conversation 3 times in 2 days. Each time, it ended with them suggesting I sign a do not resuscitate order. Each time, I refused. But tonight, something in Rachel's tone was different. More insistent. More final. The nurse called my name for the 8 o'clock visit. I stood, grateful for the interruption, and made my way toward the ICU doors. That was when I felt someone beside me, a woman in blue scrubs, mid-40s maybe, with short dark hair and tired eyes. She was carrying a tablet like every other nurse in this place, but she slowed her pace to match mine. "Mrs. Morrison," she said quietly. Not a question, she knew my name. I stopped, my hand on the door handle. "Yes." She glanced down the hallway where Rachel and Todd sat, then back at me. Her hand moved quickly, pressing something small and hard into my palm. A USB drive, black and ordinary looking. "Check this before you sign anything," she whispered. "Especially the DNR form they are going to bring you tomorrow morning at 7. My heart stuttered. "What? Who are you?" But she was already walking away, her shoes squeaking on the polished floor. She pushed through the staff door and vanished before I could follow. I stood frozen, the USB drive warm in my clenched fist. Around me, machines beeped, families whispered, and the hospital carried on like nothing had happened. I slipped the drive into my jacket pocket and went in to see my husband. Daniel lay in the same position he had been in for 21 days. Tubes ran from his arms, his chest, his throat. The ventilator breathed for him with a rhythm that had become the soundtrack of my nightmares. His face was gray, and his cheekbones stood out sharp against the pillow, but his hand was warm when I took it. "I do not know what is happening," I whispered, watching the monitors track his heartbeat. "But someone is trying to warn me about something, and I am going to find out what." His fingers did not move. The machines answered for him. I did not go home that night. Rachel and Todd left around 9, and I told them I would stay in the family lounge like I had been doing. They tried to convince me to get a real night's sleep, but I waved them off. Once their car pulled out of the parking garage, I walked to my Honda and sat in the driver's seat, staring at the USB drive. The hospital parking lot was half empty. Streetlights cast yellow pools across the asphalt. I plugged the drive into my phone, using the adapter I kept in my purse. A single folder appeared, labeled with today's date. Inside were 4 video files. I clicked the first one. The footage was grainy, clearly from a security camera, time-stamped 2 weeks ago at 11:43 p.m. It showed the ICU hallway. The angle captured the nurse's station and part of my husband's room. I watched a man in a white coat enter the room. I recognized him immediately. Dr. Brennan, the neurologist who had been overseeing Daniel's care since the stroke. He stayed inside for 3 minutes. When he came out, he was holding a syringe. He walked directly to the sharps disposal and dropped it in. Then he left. My hands shook. What was he injecting? Why was this on a USB drive? I opened the second video. Same angle, different night. 3 nights ago, at 10:15 p.m., Dr. Brennan again. Same routine. Enter the room, stay a few minutes, leave with an empty syringe. The third video was different. This one was from inside my husband's room, a ceiling-mounted camera I had never noticed. The footage showed Dr. Brennan standing over Daniel, injecting something into his IV line. The angle was clear enough to see his face. He was not checking vitals. He was not consulting a chart. He was deliberate and quick. The fourth video made my stomach drop. It was audio only, a recording of a phone conversation. The quality was clear. The wife is still refusing, a man's voice said. I recognized it, Dr. Brennan. Then we need to change her mind, a second voice replied. Female, familiar, my daughter. Rachel, I cannot keep doing this. The risk is too high. If someone looks at the medication logs, no one is looking, Rachel interrupted. You said the system is automated. The doses are within normal ranges. It just looks like he is not responding to treatment. Because I am preventing him from responding, Dr. Brennan snapped. Do you understand what you are asking me to do? I am asking you to help end my father's suffering. And in exchange, you get what we agreed on. 20% of the life insurance payout. That is $400,000, David. Tax-free. Silence on the recording. Then Dr. Brennan spoke again. Quieter. If she signs the DNR tomorrow, how long until the payout? 30 days after the death certificate. Todd is handling the paperwork. It will be clean. The recording ended. I sat in my car, the phone screen glowing in the darkness, and felt my entire world collapse. My daughter, my only child, the girl I raised, loved, sacrificed for. She was paying a doctor to keep my husband sedated, unresponsive, so I would give up and let him die. The USB drive was evidence. But evidence from who? And why give it to me now? I did not sleep. I sat in that parking lot until the sky turned gray and the hospital started waking up for the morning shift. At 6:30, I drove home. My house sat in a quiet neighborhood near Zilker Park, a place Daniel and I had lived for 38 years. The front door stuck the way it always did, and the smell of old coffee and dust hit me when I stepped inside. Everything felt wrong now. Contaminated. I went straight to Daniel's office. He had been a software engineer before he retired, meticulous and organized. If he had suspected something, he would have left a record. I pulled open the filing cabinet. Tax returns, insurance policies, mortgage papers. I forced myself to slow down, to look carefully. In the bottom drawer, I found a folder labeled medical. Inside were copies of bills from the hospital, statements from the insurance company, and a yellow sticky note in Daniel's handwriting. Check prescriptions. Dosages wrong. My breath caught. He had noticed. Before the stroke, he had noticed something. I kept searching. Behind the folders was a leather notebook I had never seen before. I flipped it open. Pages of notes in Daniel's cramped writing. Dates, times, medication names. On the last page, circled 3 times, were the words, "Ask about midazolam." Too much. Why? I grabbed my phone and searched the drug name. Midazolam. A sedative. In high doses, it could suppress brain activity, mimic coma symptoms. My hands shook so badly I could barely type. Dr. Brennan had been sedating Daniel to make it look like he was not improving. And Rachel knew. My phone rang. The screen showed an unknown number. I answered without thinking. "Mrs. Morrison, do not hang up." A woman's voice, calm and professional. "My name is Lauren Vega. I am the nurse who gave you the USB drive last night." "Who are you?" I whispered. "I worked with your husband at TechCore Solutions 6 years ago. When I moved into healthcare, we stayed in touch. 3 weeks ago, he called me. He said he thought something was wrong with his medications, that he was being monitored. He asked me to keep an eye out if anything happened to him." I sank into Daniel's desk chair. He knew. He suspected. He told me if he ended up in a hospital, there might be people who wanted him to stay there. He asked me to get hired at whatever facility they took him to and watch. So I did. The videos. I have been recording Dr. Brennan for 2 weeks. The phone conversation I pulled from the hospital's VoIP system. It is illegal, but it is proof. "Why did you wait so long?" My voice cracked. "Because I needed enough evidence to be certain, and because I needed to make sure you were ready to fight." Tears burned my eyes. "My daughter is trying to kill her father for money." Lauren's voice softened. "I know, and there is more you need to know. The life insurance policy Daniel had through TechCore? Rachel convinced him to increase it to $2 million 8 months ago. She told him it was smart financial planning. She is listed as the primary beneficiary." The room tilted. Rachel had been planning this for months. "What do I do?" I asked. "First, do not sign anything. Second, there is a safe deposit box at Wells Fargo on South Congress. Your husband rented it under his business account. Box number 447. He left something for you there. How do I get in? Your name is on the access list. Use your driver's license." She paused. "Mrs. Morrison, they are going to pressure you hard today. Stay strong. I will be watching." The call ended. At 7:15, Rachel and Todd arrived at my house. I had not expected them this early. Rachel looked fresh, composed, carrying a leather folder. Todd stood behind her, hands in his pockets. "Mom, you look exhausted," Rachel said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "Did you sleep at all?" I closed the door. "A little." She set the folder on the kitchen table. "I brought the paperwork we talked about. The DNR authorization. Dr. Brennan said if you sign it this morning, he can process it today. Dad would not suffer anymore." I stared at the folder. "I have not decided yet." Todd cleared his throat. "Patricia, I know this is hard, but prolonging this is not fair to anyone. Daniel is gone. The man in that bed is not the man you married." Rachel's expression tightened. "Mom, please. I am trying to protect you. The costs are going to destroy you. The house, your savings, everything. Is that what Dad would want?" I met my daughter's eyes. She did not flinch. She believed her own lies. "I need time," I said. "How much time?" Rachel's voice sharpened. "Another week? Another month? While you burn through everything?" I said I need time. Todd stepped closer. "We are not asking. Your mental state is fragile, Patricia. Anyone can see that. You have not been sleeping. You are not eating. If you cannot make this decision rationally, someone else might have to make it for you." The threat was clear. Guardianship. The same tactic from the other story, but delivered smoother, more corporate. I stood up. "Get out of my house." Rachel's face went cold. "You are making a mistake. Get out." Now, they left. But not before Rachel placed the folder on my table. A physical reminder of what she wanted. I waited until their car disappeared, then grabbed my purse and drove to the bank. The safe deposit box was small, tucked in a vault that smelled like metal and old paper. The bank employee left me alone in the viewing room. I opened the box with shaking hands. Inside was a flash drive, a handwritten letter, and a thick envelope. I read the letter first. "My dearest Trish, If you are reading this, then I was right to be afraid. 8 months ago, Rachel asked me to increase my life insurance. She said it was smart planning, that you would be protected if anything happened to me. I agreed because she is our daughter, and I wanted to believe she cared. But then I started noticing things. Medications that made me foggy. Appointments I did not remember scheduling. Questions from Rachel about my health that felt too specific, too clinical. I went to my doctor. My prescriptions had been altered. Someone had been increasing my blood pressure medication to dangerous levels. I confronted Rachel. She cried, apologized, said she had been trying to help because she thought I was not managing my health properly. I wanted to believe her. I did not. I set up cameras in the house. I documented everything. The flash drive contains proof. Take it to the police. Do not let her win. I love you. I am sorry I could not stop this alone. Daniel, I could not breathe. The flash drive contained files labeled with dates. I plugged it into my phone. Videos of Rachel entering our house when we were not home, opening Daniel's medication bottles, switching pills. Audio recordings of phone calls between Rachel and Todd discussing how much they would get when Daniel died. Bank statements showing Rachel had debts I never knew about. Over $200,000 in credit card bills, loans, a failed business investment Todd had made. They needed the insurance money, and they were willing to kill for it. The envelope contained copies of everything, notarized and sealed. Daniel had prepared this like evidence for a trial. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. They are at the hospital right now. Dr. Brennan just entered your husband's room. If you do not come now, they will finish this tonight. Room 447, 2:47 a.m. Be ready. I looked at the time, 1:15 p.m. I had 13 and a half hours. I spent the afternoon at a law office. I met with an attorney who specialized in elder abuse and medical fraud. I showed her everything. The USB drive from Lauren. The flash drive from Daniel. The recordings. She listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker. This is criminal, she said finally. But it is also delicate. If we move too fast, they will destroy evidence. We need law enforcement involved. Can we get them tonight? She picked up her phone. I have contacts with the Travis County DA. Let me make some calls. By 5 p.m., I had a plan. By 8 p.m., I was back at the hospital, sitting in the family lounge like I had been every night. Rachel and Todd showed up at 9. Mom, have you thought about what we discussed? Rachel asked. Her voice was gentle, but her eyes were hard. I have, I said. I am ready to sign. Her face flooded with relief. Oh, thank God. I know this is hard, but it is the right thing. I want to be with him when I sign it. In his room. Rachel hesitated. The ICU does not usually allow that. I do not care. If I am going to let my husband go, I am doing it beside him. Todd exchanged a look with Rachel, then nodded. I will talk to the nurse. We can make it happen. At 2:30 a.m., the ICU was quiet. Most of the families had gone home. Rachel, Todd, and I sat in Daniel's room. Dr. Brennan arrived at 2:40, carrying the DNR paperwork. Mrs. Morrison, I know this is difficult, he said softly, but you are doing the right thing. Daniel would not want to live like this. I took the pen he offered. My hand hovered over the signature line. Before I sign, I need to know something. Dr. Brennan tensed. What is that? Why have you been sedating my husband for 2 weeks? The room went silent. Rachel stood up. Mom, what are you talking about? I pulled out my phone and played the audio recording. Dr. Brennan's voice filled the room. Because I am preventing him from responding to treatment. Rachel's face went white. Todd backed toward the door. That is not real, Rachel stammered. Where did you get that? From someone who actually cares about my husband. I stood up. You tried to kill your father for life insurance money. Both of you? Dr. Brennan reached for the call button. The door opened before he could press it. 4 people entered. 2 detectives from the Travis County Sheriff's Office, 1 investigator from the Texas Medical Board, and Lauren Vega. Dr. David Brennan, you are under arrest for attempted murder and medical fraud, the first detective said. Rachel Morrison, Todd Keller, you are under arrest as co-conspirators. Rachel lunged toward me. You do not understand. We were trying to help you. The costs were an excuse, I said. You wanted the money. You were willing to let your father die for it. Todd tried to run. He made it 3 steps before the second detective tackled him. Dr. Brennan stood frozen, his face gray. Rachel collapsed into a chair, crying. I did not mean for it to go this far, she sobbed. It was just supposed to be peaceful. He was suffering. He was not suffering, Lauren said coldly. You were making him suffer. They led all 3 of them out in handcuffs. The ICU erupted in chaos. Nurses appeared. Security flooded the hallway. But in the center of it all, Daniel's monitors beeped steadily. The investigator from the medical board approached me. Mrs. Morrison, we are going to need to review your husband's entire medical file. It is possible Dr. Brennan has done this before. Will my husband be okay? I asked. We will get him a new care team immediately. If he has been oversedated as long as we suspect, his body needs time to metabolize the drugs. But his prognosis may be better than they led you to believe. I sank into the chair beside Daniel's bed and took his hand. For the first time in 3 weeks, I felt hope. 36 hours later, Daniel opened his eyes. The doctors said it was too soon to know the extent of the damage, but he was awake, he was fighting, and he recognized me. Trish, he whispered, his voice barely there. I pressed my forehead to his hand and cried. The legal process took months. Rachel and Todd were charged with conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, and elder abuse. Dr. Brennan faced 23 additional charges related to other patients. The investigation uncovered he had been involved in at least 6 similar schemes over 4 years. Rachel pleaded guilty to avoid trial. She received 12 years. Todd got 15. Dr. Brennan was sentenced to 30 years. I attended Rachel's sentencing. She looked small in her orange jumpsuit, nothing like the confident woman who had tried to convince me to kill her father. When the judge asked if she had anything to say, she turned to me. I am sorry, Mom. I did not mean. You meant every bit of it, I said. You just did not mean to get caught. She looked away. Daniel recovered slowly. The neurologists said the sedation had prevented his brain from healing properly, but now that it was stopped, he was making progress. He would need physical therapy, speech therapy, months of rehabilitation, but he would live. I sold the life insurance policy Rachel had convinced him to buy. I donated the entire amount to an organization that investigates medical fraud. I kept the house. I kept my husband. And I learned that betrayal does not always announce itself. Sometimes it arrives in a hospital corridor, dressed as concern. Sometimes it sounds like a daughter who says she loves you. Sometimes it looks like mercy, but the truth has a way of surfacing. And at 62, I learned that strength is not about how much you can endure. It is about knowing when to stop enduring and start fighting. Daniel and I celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary in his rehabilitation center. The nurses brought a cake. Lauren came. We did not invite Rachel. Some bridges, once burned, should stay ashes.